Today I'll be talking a little bit about how to self-educate yourself in investing, and specifically how to self-educate yourself in investing in the stock market. So I myself am probably have a little bit more formal education than most people do in terms of like finance and just overall investing in the stock market. Not only to be lucky enough to learn about it a little bit in high school, but also to learn a little bit in college as well about it. But I'm sure most people watching this channel, or who might be watching this video specifically, probably are people who don't have very much formal education, because unfortunately, at least in the US, and at least where I come from anyways, New York, I don't know if it's different state by state with, education regulations or whatever, but you really don't learn a whole lot about investing or the stock market in high school really at all. You might get like a very basic like definitional education of some aspects of the stock market and investing, but you definitely don't probably learn as much as you should. And I think this is super unfortunate, but luckily in 2018, 2019, you are definitely able to self-educate yourself a whole lot more than you were in the past. So most of my knowledge actually from the stock market, or about the stock market, is just simply from self-education. And I think that there's a bunch of great tools out there that the internet helps provide, but there's also some pretty bad tools out there. And I think there's a whole lot of people out there trying to, sell you resources that are supposed to help you learn how to invest that aren't really that good. So anyways, today I'm going to be talking about some resources that I've used in the past and that you might find helpful as well. So first thing, I think a lot of these resources you can actually get for free. A lot of people think that you have to go out there and buy some $500 course to really learn how to invest. And there are a lot of good courses out there, I think, but there's also a lot of bad courses as well. And specifically, I've been seeing some like very, very bad ones from a lot of social media sites like YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And how I know this is bad, because, well, one, you could just simply look up reviews, and two, when I actually watch some of these people's content, it's kind of clear they don't actually know as much that they act like they do about the stock market, and they seem to kind of put on this facade that they make a lot more money than they actually do, or are a lot more wealthier than they actually are, to kind of prove the point that they know how to invest in stocks, when it doesn't seem like this is true. So I definitely don't think you need to go out there and buy a very expensive course or get like a monthly membership group. I do none of that. I've never ever bought a course in my entire life, and I probably never plan to. So the first best way probably for self-educating yourself in the stock market, one is simply by kind of going a little bit old-fashioned and reading books. And there's a lot of really bad books out there, like I just said, and there's a lot of really good ones. Like, for example, this book right here, Stock Investing for Beginners: How to Buy Your First Stock and Grow Your Money by John Roberts, plus Simple Ways to Pick Winners. This book is, let's see how long this is. This book's 65 pages, and with the beginning and end pages and everything, it's probably not even 50 pages. I bought this on Amazon for I think it was like $2. And this was not a very good book at all. It was actually really, really bad. It was like a very poorly written book. It really did not have a whole lot of stuff. This was probably for the most basic person who has never ever heard anything about investing, and even so, it really didn't do a good job at that. So, for example, this would be probably a pretty bad source. But if I pull up a book like this one, on the other hand, this one is actually a very, very good book that I definitely highly recommend on my channel, The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by John C. Bogle. This one is a lot better as well. And I also think for investing overall, The Intelligent Investor is a lot better as well. And those are two books that I like and I read, and I think they helped me a lot, definitely when I was a beginner investor. And why I say book reading is one of the first ways to self-educate yourself, because I think it's absolutely astonishing how few people out there read, I don't want to say self-help books, but books that aren't novels, that don't have narratives to them, books that are more trying to, I guess it is self-help, but books that are trying to help you out in a certain way of life, whether it be how to meditate, how to invest in the stock market, how to do your personal finance, things like that. I'm sure if you look back on your own personal experience, you probably haven't read a book since high school, and if you had read a book, it's probably some sort of novel, like some, I don't know, mystery thriller or something like that. The number of people actually out there reading and finishing and digesting these books is so few. And why I suggest books over things like courses and videos online is because videos online are definitely great. Same with some courses out there. They definitely provide a lot of helpful information, but they're such a passive way of learning. Reading a book can be so much more beneficial, especially when you're educating yourself on something you might not be you might be new at or might not know a whole lot about. Because when you buy a course rather than a book, you probably are buying that course because it's a lot easier. When you're watching videos, it's definitely a whole lot easier to sit down and watch a 20-minute video than it is to read a book for 20 minutes. Even though when you're reading that book, you're probably retaining a lot more information. This is research shows. Wow, it sounded like I had a lisp there. And you are definitely not returning nearly as much information if you're watching a video. And that's just simply because watching a video or listening to a podcast is very passive. Not that these are necessarily bad ways to learn, but you're likely going to retain and learn a lot more when you are reading a book, and that is just proven by enormous amounts of research. So that is why the first thing I always say to people is to buy these two books. They're really not terrible reads. They're definitely pretty good for beginner investors. You get a very basic understanding, and there's so many other great books out there as well. I read a book probably a month, I would say. That's a little bit, at least a minimum of a book a month, I should say. I'm in college though, so I do a lot of reading. Other than that, another great one I like is Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is by Robert Kiyosaki. This is a great one just for like personal finance and entrepreneurship, stuff like that. But I think books are super important. The next thing, kind of counterintuitive to what I just said, but so I think it is still helpful, is start swapping out certain things in your life for more educational resources. So like I said before, watching videos, listening to a podcast might not be the most educational way to learn about the stock market or investing, but it definitely does help a little bit if you're swapping that out for something else. So, for example, I used to not watch a lot of like Netflix and Hulu, but I definitely watched more than I should. And I also watched a bit of YouTube videos that weren't necessarily educational. But I started swapping out non-educational, more entertainment purposed YouTube videos and TV shows for more educational YouTube videos. So if you want to learn more about stock market investing, you definitely check out my channel, and that's it. That's in this video. Just check out my channel. There's nothing else you guys need to do. Go to my channel. You'll learn everything you need to know about the stock market. I'm just totally kidding there, but honestly though, there are a lot of great resources and a lot of great people out there on YouTube providing information for totally free about the stock market, which is really something that's like truly amazing, I think, and kind of crazy to think that there's literally professors out there posting their lectures online for totally free on the internet for you to watch and see, which is, like I said, pretty crazy and amazing. But definitely don't spend all your time doing that. I still think you should do some more purposeful education. But if you're, let's say, spending an hour a day watching TV, you could very easily switch that out with an hour a day watching educational stock market investing YouTube channels. And check out my channel homepage. Actually, besides my channel, I have a list of ones that I enjoy and I watch and I think are pretty helpful. Another way you can self-educate yourself, these two online resources that are mostly free, but they do offer paid services as well, but they're pretty much free, that I think are totally awesome and amazing. One is Khan Academy and two is Investopedia. So Investopedia, obviously, as you can tell by the name, Investopedia, like an investing encyclopedia, they're really smart over there, but those guys over there have pretty much provided every single stock market and finance term that you could think of. They provided a very clear and thorough definition, and not only a definition of that, but also an explanation. It's very similar to Wikipedia, but it definitely focuses a lot more, and they're actually using experts for the field to write up these posts rather than like Wikipedia. It does have some experts, but it's more like just sort of like a random assortment of people editing for them. But Investopedia by far is probably one of the best free resources out there on the internet, which I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with. But if you actually delve deep into that, you can really self-educate yourself almost everything about investing to an extent. Of course, you know, there's almost only so much you can learn from written word, but they also post very short videos if you're ever confused about a term or a definition, or like exactly like what yield on cost means, or what I don't know what else, what dividend investing means. Like just like from the most basic terms to pretty complex terms, they actually do a very great job of not only explaining that in word, but they also have little short animated videos that explain it in like almost layman's terms. So that is super great over there. And then Khan Academy is actually slightly different. They have a whole assortment of topics they talk about, but they do talk about, I don't know if you want to put it specifically in an investing category, but more of like a personal finance in terms of like more of an educational aspect, like what you would be learning in perhaps a college class. And Khan Academy, if you're interested in any other subjects, they actually have great stuff over there as well. But definitely with personal finance, I noticed in my classes growing up in high school and in college, if I ever didn't know what something was, I'd pretty much always look up a Khan Academy video because they seem to have a video about everything over there. But they definitely have some great free resources. There's the way they do their videos over there are a little bit different, not as good as Investopedia, I don't think, but they do it more in a lecture, like literally a guy writing on like a tablet type of way. So those two resources are probably some of the best free resources out there by far, Khan Academy and Investopedia, if you want to self-educate yourself. And besides that, I think it's also important, like I was saying earlier, to just simply in your free time watch those investing videos on YouTube, listen to investing podcasts while you're on the road, while you're working out, while you're doing your morning routines, like whatever it might be. I find replacing, like I listen to a lot of music, like I'm sure most of you guys do. You just have your headphones in all the time, whether you're at your work or working out or whatever, driving, whatever it might be. Replacing music with podcasts that were actually educational, not just entertainment purposes, definitely helped me a lot as well with replacing entertainment videos with educational videos. And I think the one reason that I was able to do it so much and to such a large extent is because I actually enjoy this kind of stuff and I like this kind of stuff. And I definitely narrowed it down to some creators that were not giving as much entertainment, but more towards purposeful and meaningful value as well. But besides that, guys, there are numerous free resources out there. I mean, some other random ones I do watch some not super often, but every now and then. Yahoo Finance videos, CNBC videos. I use FinViz as an online tool as well. Those are all great tools, more than necessarily self-educating platforms, but they do give you up-to-date on news if you're interested in that. But other than that, guys, that's really it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and definitely let me know in the comment section if you know of anything else that you might be interested in, or if there's any other like helpful self-educating resources out there. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed.